and recording. There we go. Kia ora, everyone out there. Welcome to this unscheduled live chats with three of my friends here. We got Sam, Ben, and Ethan. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to ask them to tell us where they're from, where they're pastoring, their age, and their relationship status and how that is going. So, Sam, tell us.
Kia ora, my name is Sam. I serve as the youth pastor at Whangaparoa Baptist Church in Auckland.
Nice.
I'm 21 years old, just a young buck here in the ministry game. I have been with my girlfriend Kelly for we celebrated 1 year a couple weeks ago. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. She's taller than me. I'm definitely punching, and it's cool.
Get it, bro. Get it.
Nice. Ben.
Kia ora whanau. My name is Ben. I'm the youth pastor at Westgate Baptist Church. I've been there for 4 years. 3 years as the youth pastor there. I'm married. Me and my wife, we've been married for 3 years. 3 years was in April. So and we've been together for 7.
Nice.
What about your girlfriend, though?
Pardon?
What about your girlfriend?
It's for another chat, bro. It's for another chat.
Nice.
You don't want to get caught out with that. Kia ora, guys. My name's Ethan. I'm currently the youth and young adults pastor at Windsor Park in Auckland. Before that, I was at Eastview, and before that, I was at Hillsborough with Dan Marshall back in the day when he still had a lot of hair on his head before he started balding. But anyway, currently single at the moment. Sorry, what was that?
What about Sam?
So currently single at the moment. Was seeing someone late last year, and I'm 26, turning 27.
Yeah. Sorry if you can hear my dog. 26. So 26 and single. We got Ben. How old are you?
24.
24 and married for 3 years. We got Sam, who's 21. Yeah,
21,
and you've been in 1 year relationship. 43. Woo. Catch that. Married for, I think it's 16. Whoops, I should have checked this.
Don't worry, Lisa probably will.
16. At least we've been together for 20 years. Married for 16. Could be 17. Yeah. We'll call it 17 just to be on the safe side. And 2 children. So I wanted to talk about relationships. Woo. And so as you're all experts in this area, I thought I'd call in, the 3 best. Also the 3 most Aucklandish. Yeah. So first question, should young boys, men, be in relationships? Is there any need for young guys? I'm talking about young guys in our churches, the guys we know. I get asked all the time, should I be in a relationship? Should I not? Should I go after this girl? Should I not? Should they be in relationships? Like, how would you answer that question?
Good question.
I think if you're choosing to jump into a relationship to find a source of identity, something from that person, then you're kind of, in many ways, just using them. So me, growing up as a young man, I was on the search for wahine simply to find something in me, to try to draw a piece of myself out and try find it in other people. And so I ended up wrecking my own heart, but also others as well. And it wasn't good. So, if you're simply trying to jump into relationships in order to find something from the other person, there will be some damage.
Yeah, and growing up as a non-Christian as well, so we didn't really treat women as this person who I wanted to just love on and hold up and share my time with. They were trophies, levels. Hey, bro, did you get to this level with this chick? And it's like, yeah, and you high five your mates. And it's like, what was the girl's name? It's like, I don't really remember. That was part of my experience. I still see that going on today. I still see a little bit of that in churches. But yeah, other thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going off what Ben said around identity. Some relationship advice I gave myself, I think before I started dating Kelly, was the idea of a relationship is that it's not two halves becoming whole. It's not two halves making each other feel like one, but it's two wholes becoming one. You know, being able to know who you are and what you value and what your morals are, and with everything, being able to find yourself throughout life's experiences and that life has, and being able to bring that into a relationship. And so, being able to come as you are for this person, and then being able to come as they are for you, without needing to feel like they need to complete you. So I think not even just young men, but just men in general, or just anyone in general. Should young men be in relationships? Well, if it's to find a source of identity, no. If it's to fulfill something or kill some time, no. But if you feel like you're ready and mature enough to bring who you are to somebody else and be able to accept who somebody else is, then sure. But whether you find that really young is super rare, but it comes with life experiences, and it comes with just general things that you go through. So not even just young men, but even you can find older men who just still haven't found that yet. So I say that once you've found that maturity and sense of identity, go hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably one of the best advice I could ever give someone is, what's your why? And that's not just in regard to dating or relationships, or it's everything. It's your career, it's what you want to do with your life, it's why you want to travel, it's whatever your decisions are, is what's your why? Why do you want to do what you want to do? And that's kind of what these guys were getting at, I think, with the whole identity thing. But I think often our reasons can be quite selfish, and that's okay. I think, we're all selfish in some way, but just making sure that you don't hurt too many other people in the process, and also that you don't hurt yourself too much as well. Because I think often people don't realize that like relationships can be great. You can learn a lot about yourself, you can learn a lot about other people, but you can also do a lot of damage. And that damage you kind of carry with yourself unless you kind of deal to it. And so that's something I definitely consider. So what's your why? The other thing I'd encourage people with, like, I'm 26 now. I'm a youth and young adults pastor, have been for the last 5 or 6 years. And, in the church, everyone's like, oh, you're going to get married soon, like all that sort of stuff. I hear that everyone talking about all the time. And one of the things that I kind of think more and more, when I was younger, I was like, man, I really want to find someone. I'm so glad that I didn't find someone when I was really young. And there's a reason for that. It's because now I've got a whole lot of married friends and a whole lot of people who've been paired up for years, and they love the person that they're with. But if they're being honest, they're like, yeah, it's hard. And there's a lot of things that you have to sacrifice in relationships. When you're young, the beautiful aspect about being single when you're young is you have freedom. You can do whatever you want. Ideally, if you're a Christian, do whatever you want within kind of what God has commanded.
Here we go.
There it is. People just shut off the live. They're like, we can do what I want.
Yeah, I'm going to do what I want. Crikey. But it's kind of true. Like, if you want to travel, if you want to work somewhere, if you want to play sport, if you want to serve somewhere in church, you can do that when you're young. As soon as you bring someone else into that, you have to consider them as well. And if you don't do that, well, you're kind of being selfish. You have to kind of work that through. So I'd say don't rush. Like, enjoy life. And if you're going to be someone for the next 30, 40, 50 years, like, what's the rush in taking an extra 1 or 2 for yourself to, figure out who you are and what you want to do with your life?
Yeah, for sure.
You said you were glad that you didn't date in youth group. Was that because of the girls at Hillsborough at the time, or?
Well, I actually did, mate. I actually did. And it didn't go well. I'll be honest, it didn't go well at all. And I think that's the thing. I've seen people that have got married from youth group, and I've seen, realistically, I once said this was a little bit awkward. I once said this to a bunch of our youth. I didn't realize one of them was in a relationship. But I said 90% of high school relationships aren't going to last.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So it's okay. You don't you can still date someone, but just be realistic. Like, the chances are that you're going to be with them for a long time. It's just not true. You're figuring out who you are. They're figuring out who they are. You guys both don't know that. I'm still figuring out who I am now, and Dan probably is too. We have a better idea because we've kind of journeyed in life and we've figured out a few more things. But
Sam knows who he is. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Samuel.
I saw him on here.
Oh, this is coming on the bottom. This looks more looking.
Whoa. This is some buzzy looking stuff, man.
It's like CNN.
You date and you
What
date.
the? We're coming in live.
This is he's reporting on the
Hell,
spot.
this is
I
too good. This is
didn't
quality.
know I did that. So I didn't go to youth group growing up. But did I date? Yeah, I had a couple girlfriends, but it was I never looked for any kind of committed relationship. We were always just mucking around, and it was bad. But did you all go to youth group growing up? Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you guys date?
I
in youth group?
started. Yep, I did. Yeah, so my now wife, who was previously my girlfriend, we dated towards the later end of 10%, bro. That's it. I'm in with the win. But we dated toward the later end of.
I helped, by the way.
Yeah, Dan likes. So this is the story that Dan likes to say.
couch.
Dan likes to think that he's the one who set us up. So this is a fun fact for anyone at Bethlehem or anyone in the world. If you're ever in a relationship and Dan has been in the picture, he'll claim it as his. All right, he's got some sort of tally sheet going on.
I helped.
May as well have been the
Anywho, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he was actually. Yeah, so I dated me and Megs, my wife. We dated towards the later in youth group, and I support what Ethan said because it wasn't easy. There was we had to go through quite a lot of rough patches in our relationship in order to kind of smooth things out, and like we haven't sorted it out in terms of getting to where we want to be. You know, we're always progressing. We're always on this growth journey together, and I think if you ever aren't doing that in any relationship, whether it's intimate or romantic, or whether it's platonic and friendship, if you're not growing together, there's a bit of an interesting thing in that. You probably should. Anywho, but before Megs, in my wayward ways, there were a couple of situations where I was dating a couple of wahine, and it didn't turn out good. We were both immature. We didn't really know what we wanted to do. It seemed like the fun thing to do. We were both in the same kind of scenes together socially, and it seemed all right in the beginning, but eventually it got to the point where we just started to get quite destructive and we had to break up, and they just left more damage. So it brings a lot of baggage.
Yeah,
that thing is a bottom killing me, man. Did I date in youth group? Nah, I had my first girlfriend my first year out of school, and she whoa, that's weird. She messaged me, literally as I said it. Yeah, she was
like,
too good. I know. It's gonna pop up. It's gonna pop up at the bottom.
Yeah, totally gonna pop up.
She's watching live.
She's like,
don't mention me. She's like, don't mention me. I'm just like that. He's checking to see.
He's like, oh, maybe she is actually saying that.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe she is like.
I really want to check it now.
I should just be careful how I say things.
Yeah.
What's it called? Actually, she's one of my best friends now. So it's really weird how it worked out. But no, I didn't date in youth group at all. Actually, I was quite what's the word? Like, it's not virgin, but like, what? It's like a word for it. I mean, I am. It's like there's virgin, then there's like extra virgin oil. So that was me and youth group.
Extra virgin oil. The first press.
I was definitely stay online on that.
Wow. The person who asked this question is like, can I get an answer? So what is going on?
Yeah, definitely the person on the side just being like, yep, cool, yep, main, yep, cool. So very extra virgin oil there, and yeah.
But you're at Whangaparoa, right? Did you youth group there?
I was at Harborside Church until I was first year out of school. Yeah, okay. So that AOG.
So that's a big church, right?
Big church, yeah. When I started a youth group, probably only 30 maybe, and then now the youth group today has probably grown to over 100 people.
Was dating like a thing? Did everyone kind of hook up?
Yeah. I'd say there was to the point where a Pash Patrol team needed to be on patrol.
Pash Patrol. Y'all had names? Patrol. That's correct. Yeah.
There was spots throughout church and outside church where you know people went to go hook up. So Pash Patrol, all our leaders had to go go scope it out. I just didn't partake because I was in love with Jesus Christ.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Sam, that must have been pretty messy because, like, you know, if there's 30 people, let's say there's half and half, like, there's not many to choose from. Like, you're like, oh yeah, I kissed your girlfriend last week. I mean, what? You know,
kissed your girlfriend last week.
It sounds pretty interesting. Anyway, when I did date someone. I was 15. I remember I hid it at first, and then my sister found out, and she told my mum, and I was absolutely freaking. And then my mum handled it like really well, so I was stoked.
Your mum's great though, by the way.
My mum's great. My mum's a bit of a legend, you know. You got to have a good mother like mine. And so we dated for 5 months, and just messy, you know, because like I was insecure and she was insecure and she was going through stuff in life, and my parents my dad was about to get remarried at the time, and then like when you're a teenager, all these like feelings and emotions are going around in your head, and that's why you're like looking across at the other gender, or in some cases maybe the same gender. You're thinking, oh damn, you know, but like it also makes it a lot more complicated. Like realistically, like when you're trying to figure out who you are, they're trying to figure out who they are. You're insecure, they're insecure. Like that's kind of a disaster waiting to happen. I'm not saying it can't work out, like in Ben's case it has, but it does take a lot of work. And one of my other advices that I'd give to you is be careful who you date, because good chances are you could be around them for a long time. And Christian circles are pretty tight, man. They're pretty small.
They're small, they're tiny.
They're small.
They're real tiny.
Yeah.
Holy Moses, yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking about like not being whole yourself, right? No, not jumping into a relationship until you're whole. Is that what you're getting at?
Well, not that you have to be like perfect. I don't think we're ever perfect. But what I mean by that is I think when we're young in particular, we're really trying to figure out who we are. And we still do that. Like I think the year where I feel like I had more learning and growth in my life than I've had in probably my whole teenage years was actually when I was 24, right? And I remember going to this course. It's called Soul Tour. You know, it's like a 6-day course. I didn't even get to the 2-day one. An amazing course. And I learned all this stuff there, and I was like, oh, yeah, cool, like, good for other people. I don't have issues. And I remember something happened about 3 months later, and I just felt like I was hit by a rock, you know, like, or not a rock, like a bus. Like, I just felt like I was emotionally paralyzed. And I just realized, like, and I'm a pretty grounded guy typically, but I was just like, whoa, man, there's some stuff in my life that I need to work through. And I guess my thing is in relationships, you let someone see all of who you are. And you kind of do that bit by bit, you know, like you share something with someone and then they reciprocate that, and then there's trust that's built. And then slowly you give more and more. And that happens, you know, emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything. But I think when you're younger, you have more to learn. You don't have as much time to do that. And there's also cognitive development mentally as well. You're still going through things. So I'm not saying like you have to be perfect to start dating, but I just think I once heard one of my young adults say, and I thought this was awesome. She said, I want to be the type of girl that when a guy comes along, they're like, man, what an amazing faith that she has. And it's like, I want to run after her. And I kind of thought about that, and I was like, you're totally changing the perspective. Instead of being like, I'm hungry for a girlfriend, or I'm hungry for a boyfriend, they're like, I'm chasing Jesus, and I want someone to chase after me as I chase Jesus. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So, Ethan, you're a handsome guy, and I know plenty of Wahines who have been keen as on the Ethan. But you've
chiseled jaw.
I know. Look at him. He's just like he's just beautiful. You've been probably the most single of all the guys I've known at 26. Like I've only heard of a couple of relationships you've been in. Like you've been very, very selective, right?
Yeah.
Has that come with all sorts of pressures? Like, do you feel this? Because I'm thinking about young guys in youth ministry. Is there this pressure on them? Did you feel that? And I mean, Sam as well, probably been too. Like, is there this? I don't know, is it out there in the atmosphere? Is it pushing us? Are we always pushed towards relationships? Is it the movies we watch, TV?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I'd say both within church and wider as well. I think people are often like, well, why aren't you in a relationship? Why aren't you in a relationship? And I think for me, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm like, I grew up, I've got divorced parents, and even my parents that are remarried, like it's difficult. It's not easy. And any person that you realize is that who is in a relationship, if you actually talk to them and if they actually, if they trust you enough to be vulnerable, they're going to tell you that it's hard. And so I think for me, I want to find someone that shares the same values. I want to find someone that we deeply enjoy each other. And that doesn't mean just like we have the same, like we like doing the same stuff, like there might be a part of it, but it's that we deeply, like, if you strip everything back and you couldn't do, like, let's say they were paralyzed, right? And they couldn't do a lot of the stuff that you thought they could do one day. Could you just sit with them and love on them and enjoy them for the rest of your life? And I think that for me, that's something that, like, I've dated different people, and what it's come down to is I'm like, can I see that going for the rest of my life? And if I can't, I'm not willing to make that jump. At some point, I will have to, otherwise I'll be single forever. But I think it's better to be selective at the start than deal with issues your whole life and really be like, oh man, I could have made this easier on myself. Because once you're in, I believe that you're in for good.
You could be the male version of Marilyn Withers.
So, I could be, thanks, I think.
Hey, she's a legend. She's a legend.
She's amazing.
Wow.
Sam with the 0 girlfriends in youth group, the extra virgin olive oil. It's going to stick for a while.
I'm going to get a shirt made.
Yeah. This profile picture. Wow. Put up a profile picture of some Oliviano. Just like, people would be dating around you, like you would have been third wheeling sometimes, everyone else in the youth groups, like all this kind of stuff. How, like, did you feel pressures? What was it like?
I probably didn't feel too much pressure then, but I think coming into youth ministry and serving, then coming to key leadership, and then coming as youth pastor, it's kind of like there's all these checkpoints, right, of like things you kind of need to have together, perceivably, right? Like no one really has everything together, but there's all these checklists. Like if this person's in a relationship, this person's got it together, they got their life sorted. So relationships was very much a part of that, and I think there was this pressure because, like, I don't think you see too many single pastors nowadays, right? They're either married or have a family, like senior pastors in a sense, I guess, and so that's trickled down to youth ministry. So I think there's probably it's one of these checklist things you kind of perceivably need to have. So I think I felt that pressure, but I don't personally believe it as fact. Like, God called you to a position. He's called you and blessed you and anointed you for that. And he's going to continue to work with and through you. And a relationship may or may not come with that. Like, I think, like I see Ethan, he's an amazing leader. I look up to Ethan so much, like just a man live out there. I look up to Ethan so much as a person and a warrior for God. And he's a single man. I'm like, man, God is working through him so evidently. And then obviously see Ben and you, Dan, like you guys are married and you have kids, Dan. It's kind of like God is still working. And so at the time of youth ministry, I didn't feel too much pressure because I knew I wasn't ready. But I think now I'm not in a relationship because I felt the pressure. I'm in a relationship because, man, I think Kelly's the bomb. But I think I would fully feel that pressure. And I think just to go off on another tangent, it's kind of like you can't be close friends with chicks if you're a single guy as well. Because I think in church circles, not because I don't think you can, but because people are like, oh, why aren't you guys dating? Or are you guys together? And they make a big deal out of it. And my own friendships and friendships around me have been ruined because of that. And so even that's just super hard as well to try sort of deal with.
Yeah, I think on that last bit, what you said, Sam, about when I was younger, I had like so many friends that were girls and we're just good friends. And like I wasn't keen on them. And I don't know, they may have been keen on me, they may have not, but we're tight. No, I was all good about it. But like what I've realized is the older you get, that dynamic does change because naturally people want relationships. And so that people read into things. And so when I was younger, it was kind of all good. But what I've realized now, if I ask a girl to catch up and be like, oh, hey, I want to get a coffee, they're automatically going to think it's a date, whether I pay or not. And so like my thing when I was younger, I was like, oh, if I pay, it's a date. If I don't pay, it's not. But it's not as simple as that as you get older. It kind of changes the dynamics. That's how I justified it to myself anyway.
I think actually on that as well, just in my experience, so being 43, back when I was younger, and again, I was just out looking to school with chicks. So all the girls that we were friends with, we always had that, there was always that possibility, that chance. And if the moment happened, we would always go for it. But I think now, I look at teenagers now, and I think with the way that gender has become part of the conversation, that can be quite fluid for a lot of people. I think there are a lot more platonic relationships now that are genuinely successful. I'm not saying that the era of mystery around could we hook up at any moment isn't there. I'm not sure if that is there or not, but I'm saying that I see more male-female friendships today than I remember, 30 years ago. And that, I wonder if that's just how we define gender and gender roles, because that's changed a lot too. So, yeah. Ben, what was your relationship status through most of youth group? Was it single or just till the end there? Maggie's the only girl you've ever dated and
only one
only girl you've ever had eyes for?
Exactly. Like during youth group, I had a couple of relationships that were we would say that we were dating. But again, actually that was both in youth group and also outside of a church kind of context as well. So it wasn't. It got to the point for both of us where people talk about the honeymoon phase of relationships, even in marriage, and it was all nice and dandy for the first beginning stages of it all, until kind of the rubber hit the road and we realized we're not actually we're not growing together. Nothing's really happening for us. But instead of actually verbalizing that and talking about it, it was just never spoken. One person would always be guessing. Communication was just never there. And then it ended up just kind of falling apart tragically. And so when me and Meg, so both me and Maggie come from divorced parents, and relationships and marriages that work in my family, very close family, all kind of generally fall apart. And so for both me and Megs, when we kind of went into the church, seeing her family even as well, so she's kind of the only Christian in her whānau, when we jumped on the scene together and we wanted to sit down and actually have a conversation of how far this could go, how far are we willing to take this. When we had conversations within the church, a lot of it was around being married and almost the event of being married rather than the marriage itself and the long-lasting thing that can happen. And so for both of us, seeing our context, as we were like, no, we don't just want this to be an event type thing, a momentary thing, but to see it as, all right, when rubber does hit the road, when things do get tough, how are we going to sort this out? Like, who do we need in our corner to be by our sides? And that was a massive shift for us. Like, we realized that we couldn't do that on our own. So like I joked before that Dan likes to give himself the old tally, here it comes. It's about to be, notified or proven on live, what this isn't even Facebook, whatever it is. But yeah, Dan, Lisa, they were part of our lives, and we sat down with them when times got tough and when things were good, and we just said, listen, this is what we're going through. How do we deal with this? And we needed people in our corners. And that was something that I didn't have in previous relationships. That was something that was new for us. So if we were willing to if we wanted to make it work, we needed more help than just us.
Yeah.
True. Wow.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for the shout outs.
Shout out. Yeah.
Anyone who needs
I'll give you
relationship
that
hookup,
half a point. That's half a point.
I got all the hookups. Okay, so next question I've got, and I know the answer, but you guys are going to say already, so just hear me out. It's going to go, yeah, I shouldn't have done it this format. This is CNN News stars. So the question is, what age do you think guys should start dating? And you're all going to come back and say, oh, it's about a maturity thing. So I want to push it back again and say, from what you've seen in your experiences and in your own particular youth groups, generally speaking, if there was an age that you felt the maturity kicked in, what are you seeing? And this is a general, not talking about, you got some specifics. Sure. You got some young guys who are super mature, and you got some older guys who are just stupid and immature like me. But just, yeah, we're going to flatten out the curve on that. So what would you say?
I don't like to put an age on it, but I will. I'd say somewhere between probably 18 and 20. And the advantage that I'd say to the 20 is I'm like, in those 2 years out of high school, people really start to like figure out their lives. They either go to uni, choose a job, choose a career. You kind of see their ambition, right? Whereas if you start dating them early, you might find out that, well, 2 or 3 years in, that actually they just want to chill and do nothing with their life. And that actually affects you, you know? And so my thing is kind of like, if you kind of wait like a couple of years after high school, by that stage, you'll see people's natural kind of strengths come out. You'll see what people want to do with their lives. You'll see what they're passionate about. You'll see how social they are. You'll see how important their faith is to them. You'll see like a lot of people will leave at the end of high school. And if their faith just finished there, they never really had one to begin with, really, or wasn't important enough to them. So my thing would be, I'd probably lean more towards the 20, but I'd say from the age of 18, I'd say be more open to it. You can do it before that, but just realistically, I don't think it's going to last. Generally speaking. God bless you, Ben. God's favour upon you.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that, man.
God or Ben?
I'd say go get some life experience. Like I told what Ethan said. Like, me and Mags got married at 21. We were dating at the later end of high school.
Thanks to me.
Thanks to Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Such a compliment.
And indirectly, Dan. Directly, Jesus Christ. No, but go get some life experience. Seriously. Me and Max talk about it as well. Like when we got married, we were super different to a lot of people in our circles, and friend groups and church groups and anything like that. And then we talk about, okay, well, what do we want to do? What was something that we dreamed of growing up? And for Mags, it was traveling, and now that's some of the buzzes that I have. But go out there and live and figure out who you are a little bit more. Go get some life experience. Go traveling. Do what you need to do, whether it is uni, and ground yourself in who you are before you decide to come drag someone else in that scene with you.
Nice. So, what did you give it a number? You got to give it a number.
What's it? Isn't the new average kind of for people getting married is like 26? Go on then, 26. Get married at 26.
20 throughout 26.
Yeah. I'll find someone this year.
Eyebrows.
Nice. Sam, number.
Eyebrows.
Hit us with the
number. 4.
4.
Nice. A number with the premise of, I think direction and intention is so important. Like, what are your intentions? Like, are you just dating for the sake of it, or are you dating for something to come out of it, whether that's marriage or some more self-discovery? I mean, whatever it is, like, intention is so important. And direction, I think, general direction of where you want to be in life is so important. Like, for me, I mean, I don't know what I want to do in 5 years, but just having general small goals and things I want to find about myself, or things I want to upskill in, is still small goals to a bigger picture is so important. And so I think not many people think about that too much. Not many young lads think about that too much when they're like year 11, year 12, maybe year 13. They're thinking about, I want to go to uni. I'll spend 3 years in this degree, come out with a degree, and find a job within that. And so, year 13 onwards, so that's what, 17, 18, 21, 22 is kind of that discovery stage, kind of experimenting, dabbling side. Say that's probably safe. And then, you can find a ticket this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think heading around 2021, but there's a problem though with that. So hopefully I've spelt this right.
Harmonies.
Harmonies.
Did I spell it wrong?
No, I think
you spelled it right. Hey guys, I'm gonna quickly take a moment to tell you that in one of Dan's assignments, he was supposed to write Jews and Gentiles, and he actually wrote Jews and genitals throughout his whole assignment.
It was like 7 times.
That was pretty good, eh?
Those circumcised and those uncircumcised.
Thank you, George Whelan. That was funny. I'm going to apologise to him, eh? It was funny. So speaking of hormones, so we're all guys, right? Red-blooded males. Hormones, like we're asking teenagers from the ages of 13, right, or cheapest maybe even lower, to say, hey, just check this. Are we right? Is this possible? Is this attainable? I mean, yeah, like, let's say everyone listen to us because we're the 4 wisest men. Well, the North Island at least is no one from the South Island. Are we right to be saying this? Like, hey, don't date till you're 21. Like, what do you do about hormones? What do we, because that's a dangerous thing. Like, this is the thing that drove me insane as a teenager, unchecked, unregulated, just striving to fulfill this hormone thing. I'm gonna get rid of this across the bottom of the screen.
I think from my perspective, like, people are going to date younger. I think I put the age 18 to 20 because I'm like, I think that's probably a long enough wait. But and I think it's probably more of an ideal time to start. Whereas if you start younger, you got a lot more going on. But you will, like, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, I like that girl, you're not going to wait. Like, a lot of people aren't going to wait to start dating and that sort of stuff. I guess I probably have a few thoughts around that. A lot of people, and that's actually, if you think about pornography, like, it's kind of the same thing in terms of, like, how do you kind of, like, delay sex? How do you delay this? How do you delay that? And I think a lot of people thinking within Christian thinking is like, you just have to go without a whole lot of stuff, I'm like, that's not what faith is about. Like, that's a part of what faith is about. That's because God has an intention for us, and his intentions are good. His intentions are because he loves us. But, like, instead of just saying, oh, no, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, I think I like to reframe what the question looks like. To me, it's like, what can you replace it with? See, the reason why I say to young people, like, don't be in such a hurry to date, is not because I think dating's, like, the worst thing you can do. It's just that there's so much else in your life that you can do that you're not going to be able to do later on. If you want to travel, if you want to play sports, if you want to learn an instrument, if you want to figure out who you are, if you want to get good grades at school, whatever it may be, this is your time to do it. Like, live it up now. Enjoy your friends now. Because as time goes on, you're going to have less and less time to do that. And as much as you think you might be busy when you're young, you've got exams, or you're busy in uni, life gets busier and busier as you get older. Your capacity gets bigger, but you have less and less time. So my thing would be like, what can you replace it with? If you do want to wait, how do you find something in your life that you really, really enjoy? For me, it was basketball. I love basketball. I love youth group, and I started mentoring young kids who really needed help because their parents weren't around, or they didn't have good brothers or older sisters in their lives. So I just got into helping people, and that was kind of my thing. It was basketball, helping people, and school leadership.
That was Ruskell too, by the way, right?
No, it was Linfield.
Oh, we hated Linfield.
Linfield.
That's right. You lived up in Linfield too.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. Boys, thoughts on hormones?
I think if people leave from this live, this discussion, and other spaces like it, thinking, okay, so these 4 people have said this, this, and this, so this must be the answer. See, when I was growing up, most people are hitting hormones 8 to 12 for most people nowadays. Like, it's gone younger and younger every year. Growing up, I didn't have people safe enough to talk to about what was going on with me physically in my body, anything like that. So I decided to go and figure out how things would work on my own kind of standard. And so I ended up in some pretty stupid, dark places. If those who are home, those who are watching this, find safe people in order for you to talk about some of the stuff that is going on with you. And that's a scary thing. You have to be real vulnerable. But I wish I had people in my life growing up at a young age that I could speak to about some of the things that happened to me physically and the hormones that were going through my body. Because then I probably would have made some pretty good decisions growing up. I wish I channeled it in other spaces. I wish I did in other things like that. But I just didn't know who I was at the time. I didn't know who to ask. So find safe people that you can actually have discussions like this with about what's going on with you. And if that's hard, go to your local youth group. Hopefully your youth groups are doing the same thing. Go to your youth classes. The beauty, so with the extend thing I love about that is that, things happen and can prop up for people in that space of vulnerability. And their leaders are taking them home. So they should be there with them in those spaces. So if something pops up for you in discussions like this, find your leader, find people that are close to you and love you, so you can have those discussions with them.
So good.
Sam?
Yeah, I kind of just want to bandwagon on what Ben just said. I remember the camp when I was year 9 that I gave my life to God at. I was struggling with pornography for a couple of years at that point, and just full on addiction with that. And I pulled aside one of the leaders who I had great relationship with over the years, because I'd grown up in church but had never really engaged in what a relationship with God looked like. So I pulled aside this leader, and I was like real hesitant. I was like, bro, I watch porn. And he was like, "Oh, same. I've struggled with that for years. Well, not same, but he's struggled with that for years." No. And he was just.
I can edit this, right?
No. I got the Netflix party thing off. No, hang on. And he was just like, "Yeah, man, I'd struggled for years, even in because he was probably a couple years out of school at that point, and he was just all throughout high school he had struggled through that." And sorry, I'm just laughing at that. Yeah, he's just like, "Bro, that's so normal." He just let me know that my struggles and my everything I was feeling and going through was normal because of things like hormones, things just like the general things that guys kind of yearn for, but in the wrong places. And so I was just like, wow, he made me feel like I wasn't weird or odd. He just let me know that it was okay and that it was pretty normal for young lads at that age to be struggling with that, even adult lads to be struggling with that sort of stuff. And so I struggled for so much longer after that, but he just made me feel like it was okay to talk about it, and there were many discussions we had, and to this day I'm able to have those discussions with young ladies, being able to talk through like actually hormones are normal, but we just got to start putting them in the right places. And for me, I don't have a definitive answer to where we can put those hormones, but it's okay to talk about it. And I think those discussions really pave ways for other discussions, like if we were to go on a tangent and say talk about mental health or the way they're feeling, or what does the Bible or Jesus really mean to them. And because I feel like porn and just sexuality in general is quite a vulnerable place for people to open up about. And so once you can delve into that, everything's just kind of unlocked from my own experience. So yeah, totally. Having safe spaces and discussions, whether it's corporately or with a one-on-one type situation, is very key and important.
Yeah. I think the conversations now, okay, relationships, they should wait. Hey, what do you do? Okay, then what do you do about this hormones problem? And so there's a whole porn talk that we could probably have as well. That I'm keen to invite Sam Kilpatrick, because I think he did one of the best porn talks I've ever seen. So keen to get Sam's input. And again, we will hook up again this group, and we'll do a porn chat for the boys out there as well, and the girls, but mostly this is this is boys talking to boys. If you're a girl, you shouldn't be watching, so just delete. So yeah, we should hook up that in the future. We actually got some comments. Some people watched and they commented. So this guy Ash, he said, Ashley Stubbings, one of our leaders, he said, great discussion, guys. That's great.
Lad.
And then Nicole said, you guys are legends. Amazing, Ethan.
Is she single?
I think she's in my youth group, and you're taken.
Not okay.
Yeah, head out.
But she's cool. But amazing, Ethan. There you go. See, Ethan, mate, you just everyone.
So people agree. Great wisdom right here.
No.
All right. So I had another question. Where was it? Here we go. As pastors,
can we do this every week?
We should every day. I just should say youth pastors, because we're not pastors. We're not there yet. Oh, that'll be an interesting talk. Get some seniors on there. I can just grill them.
Right.
Like, what's the problem with youth pastor? Come on, mate. Turn it up. As pastors, should we be facilitating relationships? You know, I love playing matchmaker, and I do it all the time. Ben, I did that. I've even tried playing matchmaker with Ethan like 100 times. There was a girl you were talking to. He used to camp. You sat
Stay
down
strong,
at the
Ethan.
table
Stay strong.
talking to a girl at Easter camp, and the whole camp freaked out because Ethan's now
Yeah,
talking
no.
to this girl. She's quite an attractive girl, and you're like, I've actually got it on video. I found it. I filmed you thinking, oh, this is it, because Ethan's talking to a
That's
girl.
a charge, bro. Like that's that's a charge.
I picked up my phone after that conversation. I was so tired. I was barely I think, and my whole phone was just like logged up with different comments.
Everyone was freaking out, and all Ethan was doing was sitting there
Man.
talking to some girl at Easter camp. Yeah.
My life's difficult, guys.
It's hard,
And
bro.
answer to your question, I think the one thing that I've realised is that I get to know people probably better than anyone else in my community because I've got more time to do that, and so I see people who I'm like, man, you would be perfect for each other, but they would never talk. They're just naturally, maybe there's 2 or 3 years between them, and it's kind of weird to talk to each other or whatever. Whereas if they're in the workplace or in uni, it would be fine. And so I think in that sort of sphere, I'm like, yeah, it should be. I think that probably the difficulty with Dan is he tries to make it really awkward just to have kicks,
Yeah.
But I remember I was once driving up a driveway and dropping just a friend off, and then he drove up behind me up the same driveway, and he's like, oh, what's going on there? And he kind of gave us heaps, and we're just like, oh, shoot me now. But
Shoot me now.
No, he wasn't ready.
But God loves Dan, and we all do. The cheekiness,
Lovely.
the banner, it all rubs off on us.
Yeah.
So
I think I can answer this. Potential. I have a bouncy ball if you guys want it. Oh wait.
Appreciate that. It's so good.
That's how to answer the question.
Love it.
Yeah.
Holy Moses! I'm late to a meeting.
You're talking about stuff for young people.
Sweet.
I think is this a question that you've formed up, Dan? Is this one of your questions? Because like Ethan said, this is something that you have definitely been a part of. Like you've been facilitating and trying to get people together. And I think like it's been good in the sense that we've actually been able to have a proper discussion about relationships. Between me and you and our relationship there. And I think if pastors are willing to actually sit down and have those discussions, to have that conversation, if they can see something happening, it's being able to point that out. If they see a good trait and a good quality that they think someone else has, it's good for them, then point it out on them. If we're not willing to have spaces where we can actually discuss relationships, or we can talk about relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly, if anyone's going to make up their own mind on how that goes, anyone knows.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. So, final thoughts then. So, this is going live on the Bethlehem Facebook page.
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem Baptist. So, I've got to figure out a way if I can share this if you guys want it on yours, or however. But speaking to either it's my boys at my youth group. Okay, so talking to the boys of my youth group. If you had something to tell them about relationships, some advice that you want to speak right down the camera to them and say, hey, you, what would you have to say to them as a 21-year-old guy who's been dating for a year, as 24 who's been married for 3 years, and super single Ethan at 26? What do you say? What do you do? Like, what do you want to tell them?
I'll go first. A couple of different things, maybe 3 different things. First of all, I often hear in Christian circles, if you're going to date with the intention to marry. One of the things that I'd say to that is that's kind of good, but I'd actually just don't put that pressure on yourself, because otherwise sometimes you can freak yourself out from ever getting in a relationship in the first place. I'd say date if you see there's a potential of it going further. So if you can see there's character in someone, there's attraction there, you get on well, you enjoy each other, try it out. So see how it goes. Spend some more time together. Second thing, always involve other people in your relationships. When I say involve other people, I'm saying find other people who you can trust, who want the best for you, who are wiser than you, and there are people wiser than you. and ask for their advice. Ask, what do you think about this person? I think one of the big things in relationships is we tend to be just jump on feelings. But then the thing is, sometimes there's things that other people can see that they're too afraid to tell us. And if you can kind of create that open discussion, that can be a really good thing. And then a third thing, and I'll leave it here, there's probably lots more that I can think of, but is guard your heart. Guard your heart. And also protect other people's. One of the things I used to do when I was younger, which some of my guy friends may have hated me for, but I used to actually talk to girls who would be going for certain guys and just letting you know, they're a player, they're probably going to hurt you. So just and actually I think for me, that's not to dog on the boys, but it's actually about protecting. It's about protecting women. It's actually standing up for women. So
those boys weren't in a band, were they? Anyway, I can edit this, right? Ben might want to jump in and cover up my tracks.
Nah, we'll just leave a hand for a bit.
I'm not used to live on internet. Does this stuff live forever?
This stuff live forever? Yeah, welcome to the internet. It's only forever.
My pastor,
no way this can come back and bite me.
Sure. Messaged me and he's like, "You're late to this meeting." I'm like, "Oh crap!" So
and then you can shoot.
Go for
it.
That's right. That's right. Flowers, always a good time. No occasion flowers. I'm sorry, flowers.
Unless you're allergic.
Your cat just died. Flowers. Flowers are important. Patch patrol. Yes. Patch patrol. Something I'd say is be prepared to learn. You're not going to get it right on the first go. You're going to learn. It's going to take yonks. I've only been in a relationship for a year, but sometimes it's felt like a week and sometimes it's felt like 10 because of both Kelly and I, in our own relationship, we have totally different personality types. And so being able to learn and learn to trust someone, learn to get to know someone, you're friends with them, but when you get into a relationship with them, there's so much more to unlock and realize and understand that, sacrifices need to be made to try and meet the other person where they're at and vice versa. You're not the only one who's fighting. They're also fighting to try to get to know you so much better and meet the needs that you do indeed have. Put boundaries in place, not only in your relationship, but for yourself. Know your own boundaries. Because when you know your own boundaries, then when you bring that to a relationship context, you can work together to know what you both are comfortable with, to know, not necessarily physically, but just in general, how far is too far for you in terms of how you communicate, what you communicate. And so being able to know that is so important. Of course, not everyone's going to know that straight away. And so maybe that takes some relationship building together to know where you two fit together. Take a girl out for coffee, man. She wants a beverage. Take her.
That's right.
It's raining.
I love beverages. That's the takeaway from this.
But yes, my pastor is getting my pastor, Josh Stanford, he's
like,
Josh. Oh, what?
Oh, Josh.
Right?
Tell him to wait. Tell him to wait.
Get him in here. Let's get him to talk. I should get him. Get him one day.
The meeting was 20 minutes ago. I didn't get.
Bro. All right. Tell Josh he's
going
to join the next lads chats.
We'll do this
so.
next week, straight away.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day. Okay, I love
every
you.
Day.
Have fun relationships. Jesus loves you.
Jesus loves you.
Nice sign on. Look at that.
Extra virgin oil.
Yeah. From your boy, extra virgin olive oil. Yeah, that's his new name. That's his new pen name. I love it.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah.
To finish off, two things: just communication and growth. Like, be willing to communicate the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. That if you're wanting that relationship to go further, then you're gonna have to communicate stuff. And sometimes you communicate things when you don't even realize it, like your own pet peeves and your own issues and the things you got to deal with. But you've got to deal with it. Like, you've got to be able to iron that stuff out in a relationship, outside of relationship going in. And secondly, grow. Be willing to grow. Be willing to learn from your mistakes. Be willing to have grace. And if things don't work out, learn and grow from that to better yourself for whomever, whomever is entering in that space in the future, even just for yourself first and foremost, though. So learn to communicate and learn to grow.
Nice. I guess coming out of this, future discussions, I would love to get Sam Kilpatrick, maybe even Josh Stanford, pornography, and then for those who are in relationships, because they're not going to stop, obviously. How far is too far? That's a really interesting thing that, I used to have I think I had a line as a pastor. I'd say, hey, this is where I think, but I think I'm shifting on that now. So that'll be interesting to chat through as well. So cool. Oh, well, thank you, boys, for coming on. I am going to do the same discussion with the ladies. So I'm going to get some girls up here to talk about the girl perspective on it. So we'll see how that goes. But keen to do it again. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
And thanks to those people who watched and the comments. And we didn't tell anyone this is coming out. We just did it. We might even schedule one. Be professional,
That'd be,
and I'll get
it'd be great.
Good job.
And I'll get some better graphics for down the bottom.
I don't know, bro. Those are ideal, man. Those are up there.
Just the leads.
Yeah.
Hormones. Just hormones run through the bottom. All right. Signing off. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Hey, guys.
Have a
good night.
And
See you
again.
Good job.
See you, boys. All right. And